I think it's crazy how I can't upload a thumbnail on any of my devices. I'll show you what happens. I get caught up in this screen, and this is what happens. I don't even think you can really see that, but you can't even read it. But really, what it is it's a warning. Not a warning. It's a notification telling me that the thumbnail won't upload. So when I go live, I try to go live with like an image of what it is you'll see, on the stream and stuff like that. So it won't be so much popping in and popping out. But long and behold, today, for whatever reason, unlike any other day, the ability to upload thumbnails just isn't working. Anyways, I'm making this content as a way of keeping myself and people like me confident. I did this earlier today, and you know what I mean? It was all right, but I think I was kind of rambling in it a lot, trying to force myself to talk. And a lot of the scenes and stuff, they were like really bright and stuff like that. And I just wanted to make it so that like everything was dark. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And like the whole idea behind this content is this is just like comfort content. This is for that person that just wants to hear someone else talk. I know there have been so many times in my life where like things for me would just be really dark. I would be in different places and I just would want to hear someone talk. Times when I lived in the street and all I had was just me and Moot and some bags. And there'd just be so many nights where you'd be caught up in a daze, just stuck. And really, what you those will be the times when I just want to have something just to have on my headphones, just constantly playing. Like when you live in the street and stuff like that, and you're on your own, like listening to music is very comforting. And just having someone to listen to is all you really want. You just kind of want to just chill. You want to hear someone just talk, like keep you company while you're just sitting there by yourself, and you want to just piece your mind together. During the pandemic, no one was outside, but me and my dog, we were outside, and like there were so many nights that I can never really let go. In this vlog, we also gonna be smoking too. And I actually might actually even drink in this vlog too. I just want to reminisce with you guys, and I just want to again make a comfort piece, talk about things that have been going on. But yeah, there'd be times when I was in the streets, man, and times where it would just be so hard. It would just be so hard. There were like these times when like I would be sleeping in different places. Like one time, be like you'd be sleeping at different train stations overnight because the train would be 24 hours, and so it'd be like up like outside of the train station, it would be nothing but like streets and like darkness. So I'd be sleeping on a train. There was also these other times where like I found these other places I could sleep where I could like sleep on elevators. I started sleeping in parking garages and sleeping in elevators, sleeping in the escalators of the parking garage because in the escalators were more or less insulated. So like whenever it would be like windy outside or it'd be like cold outside, I used to go like to like the train station parking lot and get on the elevator, and I would take the elevator and I would put the elevator up on like the top floor of the garage, and then there would be like three other elevators in the garage, and I would let the other elevators like I would get on the other elevators, and I put the other elevators on like the first floor. I put the other elevators on like the lower floors, and I would take the elevator I was on and I'd make sure I would be at the top floor. That way, if anybody ever tried to come and use the elevator, they would push the button and they would get one of the other escalators. And I used to just sleep on the escalator at nighttime, like in the winter, like when it was windy and stuff like that. Me and Mook, we'd be on the escalator and we would just go to sleep. And like what the way that it worked is like it would kind of tip you off if somebody else was like if somebody called the elevator would start moving, and like as soon as the elevator would start moving, I would have to like get up and like make sure I was together. But I used to always make sure I would go in the parking garage at like 11 o'clock at night when like no one was at the train station. And there'll be other people that lived on the street, like living in the parking garage too. They would just live in like different parts, like they would just find little tight compartments to live in. You'd be living on the street, people will be living in like new construction and stuff like that. They'd be living in the abandoned construction buildings. And it'd be crazy during those times because even though like things wouldn't particularly be hectic, like your situation would be hectic. And the only thing on your mind really is like how are you supposed to get your next meal to eat really? I wanted to take some time to respond to some content that I glanced past. I could have sworn I blocked this channel just for being so ignorant and stupid. It just really upsets me sometimes when I get all this when I get like deliberately ignorant, stupid content that comes across my feed. But in this content, this person was talking about like being embraced by people, and I just thought to myself like these people don't do any embracing. He was like, oh, when black people don't embrace you, blah, blah, this and that. And I'm like, black people embracing you. I'm like, who do they embrace? I don't know anyone they've really embraced. I mean, you could say like, archetypes like Steve Harvey and you know, I forgot the name of the other guy. Tyler Perry. I mean, you could say those people are a quote unquote embrace, but I mean, are they really? Or did they really just come to the church system? Other than that, I don't know anyone who's really embraced. Was Floyd ever embraced? Actually, to be fair, actually there was a lot of embracing back in the '90s, back during back during the glorious eras. Just looking back, you realize what a shame it was. The people that they did embrace, it's like we embraced people that just never really gave back. You really did embrace O.J. Simpson at one time. But it seems like that's the way they really played it. But aside from that, I couldn't say anyone that was extraordinary was ever truly embraced. Not before they started winning. But yeah, that's what this piece is about. I just want to make some comfort piece. Just comfort piece just to play in the background for people that are going through things, or maybe like people that are on their own, or people that, watch YouTube content and try to find some type of like comfort out of it. I remember like when I'm down, like I'm looking through YouTube and stuff like that. I'll be listening to content and I'll just be listening to it for like the comfort, the peace of mind. Like when I have my headphones on, I'll be out in the street in a total daze. Just to have something in the background to listen to. At the same time, I can like talk to myself. There was this stream I made earlier, and honestly, there's certain parts of it to make me think I wish I could have kept it. It's getting to the point where I'm running out of smoke. But with that said, another point in this video is so I can really work on my social skills, give myself an opportunity to talk. One thing I realized is like the big challenge I have with dealing with other people, I mean, aside from the obvious, is just my social skills. And I came to the realization that, like, similar to pictures, if I don't actually do something, then years can go by. All right, Mo, come on, up. All right, never mind. Hold on, up. Here, up. one thing I decided to do is actually to drink. And I'm gonna drink for the sake of being social. Hold on for 1 second. So this is in the dark, so you can't really see everything. But this is about, it's a short glass poured with John Walker. Yeah, I just decided to drink just to be social. One thing about right now, though, is I have to be really careful with like the things that I do because I can tell you straight up that I'm starting to feel a depression. And so what happens at these times is these times come and go. Like my belief is that whenever I feel like I feel like I'm in a depression and stuff like that, I just don't have as much support from God. And so really the key in these times when like you feel really down and you feel really bad, you gotta understand like you gotta be able to work through those times and stay strong because eventually you will get support from God again. Like God will come back around and strengthen you. But the times that you're down, they're really just a test. You gotta always remember that. But I'll be honest, my lungs could really use a break. I think once I get through this little bit of smoke, I'm just gonna give it a break. I'm gonna stop smoking for a while. Get ready to fight, because that's really what I gotta do. And these past few days been kind of like a deload for me because I really been working my way up to being in shape to be able to fight. And I kind of like reached a personal milestone with it. So I really took a break and just took a step back, and I really been smoking really heavy and just like going kind of off into a depression, even though I know fighting is what I'm supposed to do. I'll be honest, like there's aspects that like I love to get to, but there's like things in the future that I really look forward to, and I know I can find satisfaction in like nonstop pursuing those things. But part of me likes drawing those things out, thinking them through, and just really just sitting through like a depression state in the meantime. But one thing that's really blowing my mind right now is this whole entire thinking about how to refer to it. This whole entire celebrity case stuff going on in the background. And the reason being is because it just really stunts my mind when it comes to like doing things in this world and getting things, extraordinary, getting extraordinary things done, like making a future for myself, being able to, it just seems like the things that these people have sacrificed in order to do these things. It just makes my desires to do these things myself more or less undesirable. So I'm really at this point trying to figure out what's real, like what's a pathway or something like that. I'm kind of recalibrating my mind. And my conventional thought says, just keep going down, the right way that you know it to go, and then just deal with things as they come along. It's just really a pain in the ass to hear all this stuff about all these like rituals and all these other things like that, and I'm sitting here writing for Warner Brothers, like I'm deliberately doing this. I remember a while back, I saw some stuff about the writer of Rick and Morty when he was first, I guess, giving out his ideas, some of the videos he made of himself. Like, look, I don't understand. Like, I was whatever people had to do whatever they had to do. I don't really, I don't know. I can't, it is what it is. But me personally, I can never sacrifice my soul to accomplish my goals. I would have to try to find some way to do these things with integrity. And to be fair, I don't really mind dying on my square as long as it's the right thing to do. It's just reflecting on everything that I've been exposed to. Like, first of all, one, why did I have to be exposed to all this nasty triflingness? Why can't people just be professional? And, it's like on one hand, from a complete carnal perspective, you kind of get it, but it's just like aside from that, it's like you kind of think about it in terms of like, no wonder why there's no movies. If this is what people have to do in order to get their script heard, no wonder that this isn't done. If this is what people are being cornered into in order to achieve things of extraordinary, achieve extraordinary things. And so right now, it's really throwing me off. And it's throwing me off, especially because I really pride myself in not really caring about what these people that a lot of people are fans of do. And then it's like to be exposed to it all at once, and then not even to even know who these people are, just to look at them. It's just being people that engage in these, these detestable things. It's just kind of like, thanks for that. 2024, like, too much information. I didn't need to know that. I don't need to know anything about Justin Bieber. Why? Because I don't listen to his music. I think he's probably a cool person or whatever. Like, if I would consider it, it crossed my mind, but it's just irrelevant to my world. Why do I need to know? Why does my music need to be so tainted in my mind? Why do I need to be exposed to these things? I don't think it's the begin all, the end all, but it's just the simple fact that, you know, too much information. Aside from that, the world really has changed. And even though it's too much information, what I'm coming to terms with understanding is this is now that they, you know, I've realized like it's a two-sided thing. Because on one hand, it's like buffoonery and like they're kind of showing you the wrong that's going on, but on the other end, they're showing you what's going on and people are being exposed to it and it's making it more normal. So the challenge I'm kind of dealing with right now is like, okay, how do you sustain integrity? Talking about when these people embrace you. Let me just keep this clear and make it understood. There's a shelter full of people that are not embraced. Every single day, there's people running through that shelter system of people that are not embraced, and the people that are not embraced are your own people. I just don't like the way that like certain terminology by certain people is used, like certain ways to address certain things, like certain perspectives. They always try to make it seem like certain things. Like one thing I learned about life is like people that are very like aggressive and people that are very like, let's just say slurry. That's really how they think. Believe me, that's really how they think. And what it means about how they think is it means that that's like the context of their thoughts. Like this is what I mean by that's the context of their thoughts. Like a person that uses bad words, they typically think in that sort of context. Like they think in that darker context. Me personally, I use a lot of bad words, but at the same time, this is the life that I live. A person that talks real spicy like that, that's real like a guy, that's real like prejudiced. That's really how they think. Like they really think on that level, and you got to understand that that's the level of hatred. It doesn't matter if you're sitting there talking about it like as the victim, or if you're talking about it as the dominator. You're still speaking from a place of hatred when you think in that context. When you say things like, oh, look at Heidi, and then, this is what this and this is what that, like all that, when you think like that, that's really how you think. The one catch to that thing you have to understand about that way of thinking is that that way of thinking is absolute. Like, that way of thinking is absolute. You can only think that way from different perspectives, and those perspectives are true. And unless someone's intelligence is low to where they actually live in that existence, which usually isn't the case, they're able to perceive the whole entire scheme for what it is. And what is it? Ultimately speaking, it's a low vibrational way of thinking. It's just low life mentality, and that's plain and simple. I said in past pieces, this is the one thing. I released that story about the woke story of creation, and I see the impact it's starting to have. And unfortunately, that's the truth. It's the truth, and it makes people mad. It makes people mad inside when they take into consideration that maybe they may feel as though they wanted to be on the plantation. See, they don't like to hear that. So then they want to sit there and revert everything to ignorance. Oh, well, you haven't been embraced by the people. Malcolm X wasn't embraced by the people. Most of the fighters were not embraced by the people at all. Most of the fighters were considered to be radical. It was most of them were considered to be like, what are you doing? It was only at that time frame of the 60s when you got really that pure, strong, thorough man that you really were able to build up that sort of resistance. But you can even see some videos way back of people like people like Sonny Liston. People, it was just, the way it was done, just people got tired of really the resistance. And a lot of people got down with the get down, and that's just what it is to this day. And that's what they doing. Let's be clear about that. That's what they So let's not play the, thoroughbred sellout, card all the time. Stop playing. Stop doing that. Who you fooling? It's 2024. Let's be real. Let's just be real. So that's one thing you got to know about that. But yeah, I lost my train of thought on that. You got to be careful though when you're down. The things that you do. I'm just considering what I'm doing right now as if I'm on vacation. And I'm kind of wrapping it up before I get back in the gym. One thing I'll tell you about people that fight is funny because they'll tell you like people that fight like they typically like do a lot of drugs. I don't know how to explain it. You do. I'm not gonna say like a lot of drugs, but like you do kind of like live a little bit more like you really challenge your psyche a lot. And I'm gonna be honest, for a fighter, it's really not that good. That's the reason why a lot of fighters' careers really gets cut short. Trying to live like a rock star outside, like beating yourself up with this stuff. But you really do need to kind of like balance your mind, and it can be really hard. Fighting can be very stressful. But after I get through this, I'm gonna give this a break. But yeah, always keep that in mind though. When people talk to you on that level, when people talk to you on that prejudice level, just always understand that's really where their mind is, 100%. And that's really what they believe entirely. It doesn't matter if they're a victim. But yeah, I gotta work on my social skills. And I gotta be able to talk. I gotta work on my dialect. And I gotta work on my ability to process in front of the camera. Because my ability to process in front of the camera is my ability to process in front of strangers. And that's one place where I've really been lacking. Like one thing about being on the street is like not having anyone to talk to. When you don't have anyone to talk to, you don't have anyone to really like exercise, your social skills with and stuff like that. And so what happens is over time you get real rusty. And when you get real rusty, when you do talk or when you do engage, it doesn't really end well. So you really end up building a lot of social anxieties. And what I realized is like it's really hard for me to talk to people because I need to be living a certain lifestyle. I need to be doing certain things in order to have other people that I feel like I can relate to. So if there's no one I can relate to, I might as well just talk to myself. And that's why I make these pieces. I also want to reach a good pinnacle of creation. I want to really be able to freely create on YouTube, but I've never been able to do it because my content has always been very like processed, diluted, convoluted, like just not me at all. And I really need to like grow and develop. And I'm not going to be able to grow and develop if I don't have anyone to talk to. If I'm just sitting here just in silence for like years on end, like I got to be able to get things done. I got to be able to move on. I really do have to write these things. I really do have to work with Warner Brothers. I really have to be able to just do something. I have to move forward. I have to continue to grow. Like one thing about life is if you continue to exercise your mind, you'll realize that you'll reach points where it can be really hard to find other people that can like really like exercise your mind alongside you. Like people that you're able to talk to like on a really intellectual level. Like for example, if I sit here and talk to you about like Rick and Morty season 2, like the theory of like, you know, evil Rick or something like that, and like, you know, you can do something like talk to you about stuff like the take, like how like Rick relates to like nihilism or something like that. I can like talk to you about film study, and like you can actually keep up with that. Then like that's like amazing. But what you'll find in life is a lot of times people can't do that. You know, like people don't really know comic book canon. People don't really know like Star Wars history. You know what I mean? Like people don't really know like political science, like fundamental political science. People can't like contrive like basic conspiracy. You know, like people don't know like basic like marginal propensity to consume and like stuff like that. And you'll find that because people don't know these things, whenever you engage them, that's the reason for small talk. And I mean, it's all cool and all, for like a year or so, but you have to get to a point where you deal with those people more often so you can really continue to grow and develop. Like your body will thrive. Like your goals, like you'll thrive for things innately because it's really where you're destined to go. It's really in alignment with your purpose in life. But you just got to really be able to fuel that fire and being able to increase your mind capacity, to being able to be smart is important in your ability to do that. And see, the thing about it is, you can think to yourself that you're smart, but in real life, like you might not actually have a proper follow through because you just don't have the experience. Like sometimes you might sit there and like listen to like, some sort of like, I don't know, political person, or you might listen to some sort of academic person, and you might say to yourself, like, oh my goodness, this person speaks so well, they're so fluid, they're so good at this, they're so good at that. Think again. They're just around a whole bunch of people that are really good at doing that too. And so they've managed to exercise their ability to do that in person to where it's able to translate into things like on the stage, where it's able to translate into things like behind film. And so you have to be able to do this yourself. You can't let yourself be stuck and surrounded by people that aren't smart or that aren't really trying to do anything. You have to always challenge yourself and keep yourself moving in a positive direction. So you got to find ways to keep your brain, you have to find ways to keep working on your social skills and things like that. Like like in my mind, I know for a fact I think that I can talk way better than I can talk. But then what will happen is you'll start talking and you'll just be like, wow, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. And it'll be because you're not properly sharpening your mind. Your mind is getting dull. Sometimes you can, especially like when you listen to like CEOs and stuff like that, like they'll just be so like punctual, well thought out. Like it seems like everything they say, like they know exactly how to speak. Like you'll be thinking they're reading from a script, as well as they're able to talk. And it's just because they hang around intelligent people more often. And so one thing, you know, like if you're into this piece and like you're up to this point, is don't be afraid to talk to yourself, especially if you're intelligent. Just make sure that you don't allow yourself to talk to yourself to the extent to where you're autistic. Talk to yourself to use reason. Talk to yourself to sharpen your character. Talk to yourself to cross do things like cross analysis. Because another thing for certain too is that you're not going to be able to rely on anyone else, and you're also not going to be able to trust anyone else, really. So you really have to be able to confide in yourself. This is another reason too why it's really important to be able to know God, because you cannot, confiding in yourself is one thing, but really truly speaking, confiding in God is the best. There's nothing better than confiding in God. There's nothing better than riding with God. I, I'll be sitting here and I'll be like, man, I'll be miserable or whatever. Like I'll be depressed. Like you have to understand, I have like a very like bad spirit. So for that reason, like I don't really mind actually being depressed. But I'll tell you one thing: I would never turn my back on God, because there is nothing like being with God. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like siding with God. It's nothing like riding with God. It's nothing like confiding with God. And I'll be honest, you can have everything and not have God, and you will have nothing. Without God, life is nothing. Like I'll be honest. You know how people tell you how life flies when you're having fun? That's what life is like without God. And you think, and that's what life is like when you don't have God. Period. Not just when you're having fun. When you're not having fun, time will still fly without God. You will never have proper judgment. You'll waste your life away. You'll dwindle your mind. So when it comes to the things you have to do in order to get to places where you need to go in life, you have to consider and make sure you're always able to evolve. Make sure you're always able to evolve. There'll be so many times in my life where like I didn't allow myself to evolve. Case Here's an example. Like there was this one time when I got to the point where every time I would go to the swimming pool, I would never jump into the pool. I would always be like geeked out by how cold I knew the pool was gonna be, and like how much I wasn't ready to jump in the water, and like how comfortable I felt. And I used to always sat at the edge of the pool, and I did it for years. Like even to this day, I still do it. I mean, I do it for meditative purposes because I just sit there in anxiety. But really speaking, all you gotta do really is just jump in. A big problem with me making these vlogs is I feel as though I need to always talk. And one thing that I'm realizing is like having a pad makes me feel like as if I'm around a stranger. And I think it's good at just like chilling my nerves. See, when I'm by myself, my mind can be on like when I'm just completely on my own and I'm by myself, my mind is very sharp. But it's like as soon as I get in front of this pad or I get around a stranger, my nerves are like sky high. And I'm realizing in order for me to like, move forward in life, I gotta be able to like really evolve past this point to where I can really just relax. I feel like a lot of people do. I feel like we all do, to be honest. So it's interesting because I really wanted to call this stream like personal development. And what this stream is really going to let me do is it's going to allow me to really like play back this conversation, really analyze like my whole demeanor and everything, and like really work on my character properly. Typically, this is something that someone would do if like they had people around, but guess what? I don't have people around. I'm out here in the country, like And what I realized is like I just thought to myself a long time ago, like if I never take pictures and I never have pictures, and it's just crazy because like years can go by, like you have no memories, you have no nothing, and I'm just like, yo, I'm not gonna let these years just pass me by, like. But I'm gonna be honest, having a pad in front of me causes me to talk way too much. Having a pad in front of me causes me to talk way too much, like out here in the country, where people listen extra hard. I really miss the city. Yeah, I really miss the city. It's crazy because even though my last stream was kind of wacky, I said some things that made me wish I didn't delete it. Like a major difference between the North and the South, relative to like the stuff I've been talking about lately, relative to the divine story of creation. What you gotta understand about the South and what you gotta understand about the North is the fact that in the North, that's where they build cities, and it's just a different mindset. It's a different mindset, but behind someone who is Southern, who's into like farms, and someone who's into like cities, like trains and stuff like that. You have to understand that cities is like the most advanced form of society. It's where the smartest people are. People that build cities, that live in cities, are more futuristic. And truly speaking, it is where I belong. Everyone kind of has like a compass. You know, a person will be northeastern, a person will be northern, a person will be eastern, a person will be southeastern, a person could be southern, a person will be southwestern, and then a person could be like northwestern and western. And believe it or not, they always mean the exact same thing. Northeast, I'm northeast. and really like your your compass, like your direction, really encompasses a lot of things that have to do with your character. Like the South is always the South, whether regardless of whether it be South DC, Southeast, Southeast, Southern DC, Southern America, Southern New York. It's the same thing. The West Side is always the West Side. California, the type of person to live in California is a West Side type of person. You live on West Side Manhattan. You live on West Side Manhattan. You're a California type of person. The East Side, you like math. The East Side, you like being smart. The West Side, you like to chill. You like being cool. You like being rich. You see, people on the West Side, they like being rich. People on the East Side, they like making money. And then North and South, it just really depends on like your mentality. Are you more like imperial minded or are you more Confederate minded? But I gotta be around art. I gotta be around business and like really intelligent, fast thinking. You gotta keep moving. You gotta keep climbing the world until you get to a point where you feel like you reached a place you can recognize, a place where you really can naturally just chill. You gotta reach that point. And you gotta always strive for that. That'll keep your spirit in order. That'll keep you motivated throughout life. That'll keep you from feeling like you're bored. That'll keep you from wasting your life. But I'll be honest, a real important key to that is knowing your purpose. Because knowing your purpose will give you direction. And that's the importance of evolving, so you can eventually get to the point where you can comprehend it. So that's my objective regardless. And honestly, that's where I find my peace of mind. Even though I live, there's certain aspects of my like reality that I have to kind of come to terms with, like to understand what makes me different. But I still also still work towards my aspirations. Like even though I may be an outcast, even though I may live a more darker existence, it doesn't necessarily mean that I just give up on life. You still have to always thrive and improve. You still always have to sharpen your mind. There's never an excuse to be ignorant. It's never an excuse to like give up on who you are or something like that. Life may throw you in different directions to where, okay, you didn't get married at 36, but you get the opportunity of living an alternate life. And you have to still aspire for that. It could mean a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a bunch of money. It doesn't mean you have to be anywhere in particular. It doesn't mean you have to have like the most wildest, life, you know, in the darkness, but you have to be able to just get to a point where you can just perceive it. There's no reason why you can't live a dream. You just got to be able to dream it. Working at a gas station is not the end all of, it could be a great thing depending on how you live. Like me personally, a certain aspect of a dream of mine is to live in a garage. I would straight up live in a garage with my car. Like I would have no problem just buying a square of land that's the size of a garage. And I would literally have an underground garage with just me and my car. Or I would live in a shop. So I would live in an auto shop. I would live in an auto shop, and I would literally live with the car with my car, and my car would just be a byproduct of the shop. And so like all these things are like attainable. But you have to get to a point where you're actually able to conceive them, so you can work your way towards them. And as long as like you know that that's what you're working towards, is that being like a goal, Trust me, it's really nothing to achieve it. But if you just look at it from like a pure like, oh, let me just make money so I can just buy like the biggest house, like then in that case you're just like everyone else and you're fooling yourself. If you're like, oh, let me just do the least amount of work and try to make the most money I can so I can just be like a rich man, like, come on, man. Like, you know how many dudes out there have money? You know how many out of this world dudes have like estates? Straight living off retirement, stressed. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta think like what it is that you wanna do. But it should be cool. I don't know. This time around it's different. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But if I'm ever gonna go to Florida again, I'm gonna need to have my car. And I really do want to write this. I really do want to write this. I was really hoping to get more or less vested in the music industry to some extent before going to the West Coast or whatever, as a way to sort of like fund myself and like, establish some sort of like, I don't know, like momentum as I would sit there and try to ask them to invest in an idea. But with everything that's going on, it's like what am I supposed to do? Go to like what am I supposed to do? Go to Apple Music. I would have went to. I mean, I don't even know what's going on. Like, I would have liked to have been more like. I would have liked to have been able to support myself a little bit more. And all I was gonna do was just A&R. I was just gonna A&R in exchange for my car. I just been like, look, just give me just give me 60 racks, and I'll A&R for like 3 years. Or I would have said something along the lines of, "I'll A&R, just give me my car. All you gotta do is just give me a car." I'd be like, just give me a car, and I'll just A&R for 3 years. And like it can be like a rental or whatever. It can be financed, whatever. Just give me like an M4, and I'll just A&R for like 3 years. And then that way, I would have just A&R'd, and I would have been able to go to LA, and I would have been able to have more momentum, like going into Warner Brothers. I would have had like relationships and stuff like that. And that's the honest truth. I don't know. It's like New York is under arrest or something. Like New York is still New York, but it's like there's just something holding New York down. Like something like something. I mean, the undercovers is one thing, but I think what it is I think it's all the police women. It's like the only thing in New York hiring is the police. I don't know. I just feel like there's something holding New York hostage. I don't know what it is. What you have to understand is, and I'm gonna talk to you. What you have to understand is, I need to be put in control. That's just basically it. I need to be put into control. But it's gonna be a long way getting there. So I need to be the best I can be, and this is the reason why you always strive, because this way you can know whatever it is that you have to do in order for you to, you know, live your best life, like they like to say. You can really live like a full, vivid life. You really can. You can really live a life that's like out of this world. You can really live whatever life you want to live. You just have to really be able to contrive it. You don't have to live in misery. But I would really live in an auto shop like Brian from Fast and the Furious. Because really, all I would do, and all I'm really gonna do, is as soon as I get my car, I'm really just gonna just drive across the world. That's it. I'm gonna go back to driving across the. I'm gonna go back to driving across the country, and I'm going to South America. I'm going to Colombia. This time I'm going to Colombia. See the only See the only thing before was I was just kind of like really not. I wasn't able to make any money, and so I was just kind of dealing with the pandemic. But I would want to really ideally go to Colombia. At some point. But yeah, I would drive across America and I would do different stuff. This is why I don't understand like this stuff that I'm seeing on TV with like what they're talking about. There's so much you could really do with your life, to have so much and to do nothing besides basically OnlyFans. It just seems to be, to me personally, unbelievable. But at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like maybe the ceiling's a lot lower than anyone ever thought it was. And I feel like that's just a shame. I feel like it's a shame that there's no like fantasy in the world anymore. There's no like wonder in the world anymore. And I think the fact that there's no wonder in the world anymore is because these people are really just simply that pitiful. They're just that pitiful and disgusting to the point where like we can't even get like purity like out of the people. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't get passion out of the people. Like you look at the 80s, you look at the 90s, like if you're gonna sit there and grade those time periods like based upon like how amazing they were and things like that, like they would get like extraordinary grades. Why? Because they were full of extraordinary people that continue to push like society further. Like you sit over here with these people today, and these people have you questioning whether or not like you could recognize like you have like what are we talking about? This is why you have to talk to yourself when you can't find other people to talk to. This is why you have to keep evolving, because you can't afford to devolve with these people. Don't let the current restraints of society restrain your mind as well. Don't let you think any less of possible of what it is you aim to do. Like for example, when you sit there and you watch Home Alone and you watch, the dude with his family like go to like, the city and like they have this big hotel room and it's like 15 of them and they're all like having like this insane like family time. Like if you really consider Home Alone, you can still live that life. You can still create that for yourself. You just have to really aim for it. But it takes like real conscious effort and it takes real consideration. The time that you're not doing these things, you have to think of like other ways you can like pursue this thing, and you basically constantly pursue it. You constantly pursue it. See, I've started from the bottom so many times. I've kind of seen it. I've kind of like gone through the phases, and really anything you can perceive, you can achieve. Just make sure whatever it is you perceive is worth achieving. But yeah, having a pad in front of me is like having a person in front of me, so I gotta figure out my behavior. You know what I mean? How I'm coming off, so I can improve my social skills, so I don't just like freeze up and stuff like that. Because if you don't talk to yourself, what will happen is you won't. If like for example, if you don't talk for a really long time, what will happen is when you're in public, you won't really be able to talk. You won't really have like well-rounded social skills. You'll have like the way you'll come off will be extremely awkward. Sometimes like people that live like really like secluded and like reclusely, like whenever you like pass them by, they always give you like really like weird body language and stuff like that. You'll really develop those social anxieties if you spend too much time just basically in your own head, not actually talking. And you'll end up in that mindset because you won't have confidence in your social skills. This is a problem I have myself. Like I'll be in public and there'll be times when like I wish I could talk and I really can't because I feel like I don't have, it's like man, I'm about to freestyle. Like I haven't even listened to I don't even have a beat. You just want me to go right now? Like that's how it'll feel. And you have to get past that point. There have been so many different times in my life where I've been like intimidated to talk. Intimidation makes it even harder to talk. And like I said, when I'm by myself, I'm no one when no one's around, I'm like when other people are around, I'm not really there. And see, this is the thing about meditation. Meditation will help you, expand like your consciousness and like understand like different levels of focus and things like that. But once you're able to actually meditate to that level, then it's a matter of like remaining conscious at that level. Then once you're able to remain conscious at that level, it's a matter of engaging others at that same level of consciousness, being able to engage others at that same level of like dullness. That's that same level of like focus, being able to really sustain that. And that's like a counter purpose of you like making this piece. Even the view counter really trips me out. You want to hear some stories? I'm gonna tell you some stories. You want to hear some stories about my country friends? I'm gonna tell you about all my country friends. It's a really interesting story, but I'm gonna keep them anonymous. I'm not gonna tell you their names. But yeah, being able to chill out is very important in life. And it's something I need to work on. I'm gonna tell you a story about my country friends. So I have 3 stories. I had my first country friend. I have my second country friend, and I have my last one, my third one. And they're all like really cool friends. So my first country friend was really special to me. It was this girl that I grew up with. Oh, she was like the first girl I ever know. And you know what? I forgot I'm not gonna actually say the names. But we did everything together. We were really good friends. We used to ride bikes. And see, the thing about her was like riding bikes with her was kind of interesting because like she used to ride like really hard. Like we used to ride really hard. Like we used to ride everywhere, and we used to ride fast. And she was really wild. She was really wild. And it's crazy because I was like so young, I didn't understand. Like she was in real life, she probably should have. When I always think back, I always think she really should have been my first girlfriend. And I knew her. I knew her really well, and she was, she was really wild. And she definitely should have been my first girlfriend. But I just remember one day she just kind of disappeared. Then my second friend, this dude, I don't know. I think we were actually supposed to fight. Like I think like we were at school and he like I don't know what happened. Like I think like my school was like mad racist. And he was like the most like racist dude. And we were like supposed to fight. And I remember like nothing happened. And then we ended up hanging out. And I remember he like showed me like his like wrestling videos. And he showed me like computer games. And he was like super smart. And it's interesting because like we weren't like we never really were like friends after that, and it wasn't really a problem. But the thing about it is, I think we always had like I mean I don't know like I really I really like thinking back like I really have like a real deep appreciation for that guy because it's almost like we just came to terms with something and like it was just really cool being friends with him the time that I was. I mean, his lifestyle was so much different than mine. I mean, he was so much more country. He was into wrestling and like he actually had videos of like real wrestling matches back in like from like China. So he had videos of like mankind in like the barbed wire matches. Like they would have like blood and stuff like coming out of their heads. Like dudes would be getting punched, like their face would be getting swelled up. It would just be so gory. There'd be like blood all over the place. And then like he showed me like Ultimate Fighting like way back then. And I remember it like blew my mind. I was like so young, I had no idea. And then he showed me this game called Thrill Coaster or something like that. Like we built like this roller coaster. And man, like to this day, like I really, appreciate that guy a lot. I really do. Like our friendship really didn't go beyond like that elementary school day, but it didn't really matter because we were so different. And then my other friend, this is like one of my favorite friends. I even have so many different country friends, but this is one of my favorite friends. Me and this dude, we used to like shoot guns all the time. Just shoot like mad guns. Just be shooting mad guns. Just shooting mad guns. We'd be smoking mad cigarettes. This dude. He riding around on freaking mopeds, man. Like we'd be bad young, be like 11 years old, like 10 years old, like riding around on mopeds. Like this man had porno magazines. We were like 10, bro. Like we were like we were like 10. Like we had Nintendo 64. We used to play WCE Raw. Yo, that was my friend. Like that was my friend to the death. Like that was my friend to the end. Like I really love that guy forever. I'll never forget that guy. I'll never forget that guy and his mom. They were just the greatest people in the world. I love them to death. Like I love them so much. I really do. And they were like the countryest people in the world. Always smoking cigarettes. Carpet straight up brown. Like just some straight up country dudes. And I don't know, man. Like that life was just so wild. I don't know. My life changed at different times when I moved. Different things happened going to different schools. Then I had another friend. Oh man. I love this guy too. This guy was like a bully. You know what I'm saying? Like when you think of like the classic like bully type looking dude, this was him. You know what I'm saying? And he's like always into mischief and stuff and like stealing and you know what I mean? Dude had like mass dude had like a family that had like everything. Like it was like almost from what I understood, like nothing this man couldn't really attain at some point. But things between me and this guy kind of, like our friendship kind of faded, which was unfortunate because he was like really like one of my best friends. I don't even know, like some of my friends were just so good and like so like of the best of the world. It was like our friendship just came to just an end. Like it wasn't even a matter of like nothing. It was just like our friendship was just like so righteous and strong. It just ended like when I was young. But I don't know. Something weird happened when it came to like going to school or something. Like somehow we got separated. We all should have just been in the same class. We all should have just been able just to like all live together and stuff like that. It just would have been so great. We would have all grew up and been like so amazing and stuff like that. Like we would have all been like so strong. Like it would have been so great. But yeah, those are like my little stories. My little stories are like my few little country friends. To be honest, all of my country friends, I really love them a lot. I really do. And to be honest, like a lot of like the people that I really care about the most, I really don't talk to them. And the reason I don't is because I'm afraid that if I talk to them, like I will feel compelled to like I don't even know, like I will feel compelled to like try to be like have like a really good relationship, or I would feel bad if they said something that like I really that made me feel different about them. It's almost like you want to just remember them as they are, but like I really like appreciate my friends, my country friends growing up. I never take them for granted. And to be honest, I really understand that like whenever I'm in like really country areas, I really know that they're like always really with me because I always know that they're always with me. So I'm never really like too worried, but at the same time, I don't really go too deep in the country. I don't really go too deep in the south. But if I ever were to be in the areas, I would be with them. You know, I would be with them. And honestly, all of my friends, I'll be honest, none of my all of my friends were pretty much wild men. Like, you know what I'm saying? All of my friends were pretty much renegades. Like, nobody I really ever hung with ever obeyed the rules or like lived by what people told them to do. Like, everyone that I ever lived with, everyone that I ever hung around always did whatever they wanted. And those have always been my friends. Those have always been the type of people I always, associated with. Just people that just do whatever they want, you know. You could consider all my friends to be spoiled. Like, that's basically the way it was. Like, people just did anything. But I would really wish we would have all been able to stay together because it would have really helped us out, like in older age, because all of our lives kind of fell apart, and they didn't fall apart like and for the best. Everything just went down, for everyone. And it was a real big loss for the world. Everyone I grew up with in the apartments that I grew up in, those are the people I'm talking about. The people I played video games with, the people I spent summers with, the people I rode bikes with, the people I skateboarded with. We should have all been able to stick together. See, this is the reason why I knew I should have. I would have. I really belonged into. Really. I don't even. I can't. I just. I need to really. I should have been in a city because that's really the context of my mind. I never thought like. Or better yet, this is why I really wish I had more or less like consistent stability because I would have been able to more so less facilitate things. I would have been able to keep, people together and stuff like that. I just never had any stability in my life. So I was always just kind of like at the bottom, just like barely stable, barely able to like do anything, barely able to like keep in touch, reach out or anything. But it's just something to think about. It's just really rough when you run into people after a long time and there's like this weird, like strong connection, but at the same time the connection is lost. I mean, partially thinking. But yeah, the purpose of this content is just to be comfort content. I was just thinking, like, what if when noticed a viewer, I like try to like directly talk to them and try to like talk them into a like. Just be like, yo, let me get that like. Like, yo, who is this? Just put like mad pressure on the viewer. Like, I know you watching me. Let me get that like you. See, this is why you gotta be able to relax. Right. Sometimes you gotta chill. But yeah, I just gotta get to the point where I can just be in control.